We all know about the moves that Bill O'Brien has made this offseason and how he's kind of dug Houston into a hole for their playoff chances this year. But I still do think it's possible for them to make the playoffs, and that is because of one player, Deshaun Watson. The 24-year-old Texans quarterback has already proved himself as one of the best in the NFL. But now, without his top receiver, he really needs to carry the team on his back to help him return to the playoffs. Some things we've seen him do in a short career have been truly incredible, but can he be good enough to keep Houston as a top team in the league? Let's get into it. Derek Deshaun Watson was born September 14th, 1995 in Gainesville, Georgia. He went to Gainesville High School and was a four-year starter. He set school records for total yards, total touchdowns, pass yards, and pass touchdowns. Watson excelled as a passer with 13,077 yards and 155 touchdowns, but also as a rusher with 4,057 yards and 63 touchdowns. In his junior year, he was a big part of his team winning the state championship. He received offers from multiple big colleges, including Florida State and Alabama, before committing to the University of Clemson. Watson was a backup to start his career in college, but after sharing playing time in the first 3 games of the season, and after outperforming the starter Cole Stout, Watson was named the starter for Week 4. In his first career start, he threw 435 yards and a school record 6 touchdowns in a win against North Carolina. A few weeks after that game, Watson broke a bone in his right hand. He missed the next 3 games, but then in his return, he was injured once again, this time suffering an LCL strain. He missed the next game before returning to play South Carolina. After a win, it was revealed Watson had played the game with a torn ACL and underwent surgery on his knee. As a sophomore in 2015, Watson helped lead his team to a 12-0 record and the number 1 team in the nation. In the ACC championship game, Clemson won 45-37 over the North Carolina Tar Heels. After throwing for 289 yards and 3 touchdowns, and also rushing for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns, Watson was named the game's MVP. Clemson stayed the number 1 team after the victory and played the Oklahoma Sooners in the semifinal of the college football playoff. In the game, Watson only threw for 189 yards and a touchdown, but ran for 145 yards and a touchdown. Clemson won the game 37-17, and Watson was named Offensive MVP. Because of the game, Clemson advanced to the college football final, where they would play the number 2 ranked Alabama. Watson threw for 405 yards and 4 touchdowns in the game, but couldn't help his team win as they lost 45-40. The game helped him pass 4,000 passing yards on the season. It also helped him set the record for most total yards in a national championship game, with 478, against the best defense in college football. That season, Watson didn't just have 4,000 pass yards, he also had over 1,000 rush yards. He became the first player in college football history to do that. Because of his season, Watson was named a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. He finished in 3rd place behind Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey, which was highest ever for a Clemson player. He also won the Davey O'Brien Award, which is awarded to the best quarterback in college football. In 2016, Watson had another good season. He became the first player since Jason White to win the Davey O'Brien Award in back-to-back seasons. He also finished as a finalist for the Heisman Trophy again, but once again, he didn't win it. Once again, though, he helped lead his team to the college football playoff. In the semifinal, Clemson destroyed Ohio State 31-0. The week after, they beat Alabama 35-31 in one of the most dramatic finishes in national championship game history, as they scored with only 1 second remaining on the clock. It was Clemson's first national championship in 3 decades. After throwing 420 yards and 3 touchdowns and also running for a touchdown, Watson was named the game's offensive MVP. A bit after the game, Deshaun Watson declared for the 2017 NFL Draft. For the draft, Watson was projected to be a first-round pick by most NFL scouts. Sports Illustrated, Pro Football Focus, and ESPN all had him as the number 1 quarterback in the draft class. He ended up being the 3rd quarterback taken, though, behind Mitch Trubisky and Patrick Mahomes. He was taken with the 12th pick by the Houston Texans. Heading into the 2017 NFL season, Watson was expected to be the backup to Tom Savage, and in the first game of the season, he was the backup. But after Tom Savage had a bad first half, Watson got to play the second. He didn't have the best game, but it wasn't terrible, and he even threw his first ever touchdown. He was named the starter for Houston's Thursday night game against the Cincinnati Bengals. He didn't put up the best stats in that game, but he won the Texans the game after he had a 49-yard rushing touchdown in the late second quarter. 2 weeks later, against division rival Tennessee Titans, he threw 4 touchdowns and rushed for 1 in a 57-14 win. His 5 touchdowns was a rookie record. Watson followed up that performance with another great one, this time throwing for 5 touchdowns, which tied a rookie record for the most touchdown passes in a single game. 2 weeks later, in a game against Seattle, Watson had his first 400 passing game. He had 402 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 41-38 loss. Even though he had only played half a season, Watson had already shown he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. In only October, he threw 16 touchdowns, which was the most touchdown passes by a rookie in a single month in NFL history. Along with that, he was named AFC Offensive Player of the Month and NFL Offensive Rookie of the Month for October. It looked like he was going to continue his great season, but midweek in practice he tore his ACL and missed the rest of the year. He had 1,699 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. He also rushed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. Even in his limited playtime as a rookie, Watson was ranked 50th on the NFL's annual Top 100 Players list, and he was named to the PFWA All-Rookie team. After the injury, Watson was hoping he could continue his 2017 success into 2018. He didn't have the best opener, throwing only 176 yards and 1 touchdown in a loss to the New England Patriots. The next week, Watson improved, throwing over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns, but once again, the Texans lost the game. The week after, Watson improved again, this time throwing 385 yards and 2 touchdowns, but once again, the Texans lost against the New York Giants. Watson had put up some good numbers to start the season, but the Texans hadn't won a game. In Week 4, the Texans finally won, and Watson threw over 300 yards for the 3rd week in a row. Watson continued that streak the next week in a win against the Cowboys. In Week 6, the streak finally ended, but the Texans won another game. It was their 3rd in a row after starting 0-3, and they won the next 3 games after and were 6-3. In one of the games against the Miami Dolphins, Watson threw 5 touchdowns, tying a career high. After 3 more weeks, the win streak was at 9 games. The week after, they finally lost by 3 points against the Indianapolis Colts. They beat the Jets the following week before losing to the Eagles the week after. Then, in the final game of the season, the Texans beat the Jaguars to clinch the AFC South. In his first ever playoff game, Watson couldn't help the Texans win as they lost 21-7 against division rival Indianapolis Colts. Watson was still named to the Pro Bowl though, and he was ranked 51st on the NFL's Top 100 Players list. To open the 2019 NFL season, the Texans barely lost to the New Orleans Saints in a game where Watson had 268 pass yards and 3 touchdowns. 2 weeks later, after a win against the Chargers, Watson was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week after having 351 pass yards and 3 touchdowns. 2 weeks later, he was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week again, having 426 pass yards, 5 touchdowns, and a perfect passer rating. A few weeks later, we saw Watson make one of the best plays of the season when he got kicked in the eye and threw a game-winning touchdown pass. After a win against the Patriots on Sunday Night Football, Watson was named AFC Offensive Player of the Week for a 3rd time. He finished the season with 3,852 passing yards, 26 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions to go along with 413 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. He helped the Texans win the AFC South with a 10-6 record. On Wildcard Weekend, Watson helped the Texans come back from down 16 points, and they ended up winning 22-19 in overtime. The next game, Watson threw 388 pass yards, and the Texans were up 24-0 in the second quarter. Then they only scored 1 touchdown for the rest of the game and were defeated by the Kansas City Chiefs 51-31. Watson was named to go back to the Pro Bowl after the season. In his career, Watson has 9,716 pass yards, 71 touchdowns, and 29 interceptions. In only 3 seasons, Watson has shown he can be a great NFL quarterback. But is he good enough to help Houston survive and stay among the top teams in the NFL? I think he is, and just because of him, I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans made the playoffs. And I don't just think he'll be good for this season. I think Watson can stay as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised if one day he finds himself in the conversation for one of the best of all time. We've seen him carry his team, and he's made some great plays in a short time in the league. I think he'll be up there as one of the best quarterbacks in the league going forward, along with players like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Russell Wilson. With the change of scenery, or maybe just staying on the Texans, I think he can become a Super Bowl winning quarterback one day. Some people think some of the moves Bill O'Brien has made this offseason could be hurting his future, but honestly, I think it could help it. It doesn't help the team overall, but now Watson gets to learn how to be a better player without a top receiver. Like I said, Deshaun Watson is a very, very good player, and he should continue to be that going on in the future. That's going to be about it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe for more daily football content. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.